In today's show, President Trump is hailed for brokering peace. The IRS raises tax thresholds, and Bad Bunny faces some Super Bowl competition. Plus, from DC drama to a crypto billionaire and one heroic dog in Florida, today's headlines have politics, profits, and a whole lot of heart. And the trivia question is this: which First Lady was the first to decorate the White House for Halloween? It's Friday, October 10th. This is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Hello and welcome to the Flyover Podcast. I'm Ayla Brown. I don't know about you, but this week has been flying by. And with today being 10/10, I'm thinking it's a sign it's going to be a great day. Let's get started with the headlines. In the Middle East, Gazans and Israelis were celebrating together on Thursday, chanting President Trump's name after he brokered a ceasefire to end the 2-year war in Gaza. Hamas has declared the war officially over, and Israel's cabinet is expected to ratify the deal by Friday, clearing the way for hostages to start returning early next week. President Trump said he expects the remaining captives to be freed Monday or Tuesday, and he plans to travel to Egypt for a formal signing ceremony, with a possible stop in Israel. But tensions remain high. The Israeli Defense Forces carried out a strike in the Al-Sabra neighborhood of Gaza City on Thursday, just before the ceasefire was set to be finalized. Reports say more than 40 people were trapped under the rubble of a home. Global leaders, including former President Obama and UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres, praised the deal as a major diplomatic breakthrough, and there are even calls for President Trump to receive the Nobel Peace Prize, which is being announced today. Here at home, the IRS announced new income tax brackets and deductions for 2026 to keep up with inflation. The top 37% rate will now apply to individuals earning over $640,600 and married couples making $768,700 or more. The standard deduction is rising to $32,200 for joint filers and $16,100 for singles, with increases also coming to capital gains brackets, estate tax exemptions, and earned income credit limits. The update comes as the agency plans to furlough nearly half of its workforce amid the ongoing federal shutdown. Read more about the tax deductions in today's show notes. And lastly, finally, in entertainment news, Turning Point USA says it's planning an alternative halftime show during next year's Super Bowl game, calling it, quote, the All-American Halftime Show. The event will run at the same time as the NFL's official show, which will be headlined by Bad Bunny on February 8th, 2026 at Levi's Stadium in California. Turning Point says its show will feature patriotic, family-friendly performers, though the lineup has not been announced quite yet. The goal is to offer viewers a halftime option that celebrates American values and culture. Some NFL fans have already voiced frustration with Bad Bunny's selection, pointing to his past criticism of U.S. immigration enforcement and his limited tour stops in the United States. Here are your top political headlines. A federal judge in Illinois has issued a partial restraining order limiting the Trump administration's deployment of National Guard troops in that state. Judge April Perry said there wasn't enough evidence of any threat that would justify military support, and noted that local law enforcement never requested assistance. This ruling comes amid a growing debate over whether the federal government is overstepping by sending Guard troops into states that don't want them. Meanwhile, New York Attorney General Letitia James was indicted by a federal grand jury in Virginia on mortgage fraud charges linked to a 2023 home loan she allegedly falsified. The case will likely have political implications since James was known for her aggressive pursuit of President Trump in civil court. In the Senate, Republicans blocked a Democratic attempt to invoke the War Powers Act, which would have limited U.S. military strikes on drug smuggling boats near Venezuela. The measure narrowly failed 51-48, and it marks the latest clash over how far the president's war powers extend without congressional approval. And finally, a bit of good news for one federal agency. The Department of Homeland Security saw the biggest jump in public approval this year, according to a new Gallup poll. About 42% of Americans now rate DHS's performance as excellent or good, up from 32% last year. Analysts say that may reflect the department's efforts to strengthen cybersecurity and disaster response following several major hurricanes and cyber attacks. Here are some podcast extra stories that you're not going to find in the email. In Washington, Senate Majority Leader John Thune and several Republicans are slamming Senate Democratic Leader Chuck Schumer after he said, quote, "Every day gets better for us Democrats," as the government shutdown stretched into its 9th day. Thune accused Schumer of treating the crisis like a political game, saying Democrats are ignoring the struggles of military families and federal workers missing paychecks. A new Morning Consult poll shows Democrats are now getting slightly more blame for the shutdown than before, with 38% of voters pointing the finger at them compared to 43% blaming Republicans. GOP Senators John Barrasso and Mike Lee called Schumer's remark tone deaf, while Vice President J.D. Vance went further, calling it vile. On Wall Street, a 27-year-old entrepreneur just made history. Shane Copeland has become the world's youngest self-made billionaire after the Intercontinental Exchange, that's the parent company of the New York Stock Exchange, invested up to $2 billion in his startup, Polymarket. Copeland launched Polymarket back in 2020 from his New York apartment. It's a crypto-based prediction app that lets users bet on real-world events, everything from elections to sports outcomes. The platform exploded in popularity during the 2024 election, drawing billions in wagers, and after some regulatory issues in 2022 that forced it to block U.S. users for a while, it's now fully approved to operate legally in the States. That massive ICE investment is being seen as a turning point for prediction markets, bringing them one step closer to mainstream finance. And this story's for you, Florida. A dog named Eeyore is being hailed as a hero after leading deputies to his missing 86-year-old owner. The woman had fallen while walking Eeyore and couldn't get up or call for help. After she was reported missing, a deputy searching for the area spotted the dog, and Eeyore immediately led him straight to her location. Body cam video shows the officer following Eeyore through the brush, asking, "Where's your mom?" before finding the woman on the ground. Thanks to the dog's loyalty and quick instincts, she was rescued and taken for medical care. I love that story. Still to come, we've got your beer lineup by state, DoorDash rolling out robot deliveries, and the NCAA opening the door for athletes to bet on pro games. But first, most people know that staying hydrated is essential to nearly every bodily function, but 75% of Americans still don't consume enough fluid daily. What's wrong with us? Well, as we age, natural bodily changes make staying hydrated even harder, especially without artificial additives or those excess sugars. Well, that's where Native Path comes in with some extra help. Native Path's Hydrate is not just another drink mix. It's a thoughtfully designed formula packed with BCAAs and all 9 essential amino acids to help with muscle recovery and overall vitality. It's 100% natural, sugar-free, and only 5 calories per serving. Every order comes with a 365-day money-back guarantee, so you can try it risk-free. Visit nativehydrate.com/flyover to see what Native Hydrate could do for your health, or click on the link in the show notes below for all that info. In finance, Domino's Pizza is getting a full makeover for the first time in more than a decade. The company says it's modernizing its color scheme, introducing a bolder typeface, and even debuting new music, brighter packaging, and a catchy new jingle as part of the refresh. Meanwhile, DoorDash just announced a multi-year partnership with Serve Robotics to begin using autonomous sidewalk delivery robots across the U.S., starting in Los Angeles. The robots are designed to handle short-distance deliveries in a busy urban area, and the company says this could help cut wait times and costs. And federal regulators have opened an investigation into nearly 2.9 million Tesla vehicles after reports of safety issues involving the company's self-driving features, including cars running red lights and initiating lane changes into oncoming traffic. The probe could lead to recalls or new restrictions on Tesla's autonomous software. Here's how the stocks did yesterday. It was really a down day on Wall Street. The Nasdaq slipped 0.08%, S&P 500 dropped 0.28%, and the Dow Jones fell just over 0.5%. In commodities, Bitcoin dropped nearly 2%, while gold slid about 1.25% to $3,992 an ounce. The big mover of the day, Ferrari stock plunged almost 15%, marking its worst trading day ever after the company released new full year and 2030 forecasts that left investors disappointed. In sports, in the WNBA Finals, Aja Wilson came up clutch, sinking a game-winning shot to lift the Las Vegas Aces over the Phoenix Mercury in Game 3. The Mercury will try to avoid getting swept as the series continues tonight. Over in baseball, the Toronto Blue Jays ended the Yankees season with a 5-2 win Wednesday night after New York's Jazz Chisholm Jr. missed a key ground ball in the 7th inning. He said afterwards, quote, "I've been thinking about that since it happened. Still can't get it out of my head." If you missed the grounder, check out the video in the show notes. In college sports, the NCAA Division I Administrative Committee has approved a proposal that would allow athletes and staff to bet on professional sports games, but it still needs approval from the Division II and III councils before it becomes official. And finally, another NCAA committee just introduced a plan that could allow commercial logos on sports uniforms as soon as next season, a major change that could bring in new sponsorship opportunities for schools nationwide. In science and tech, researchers at the University of Texas at Arlington say they've identified word-like patterns in dog barks using artificial intelligence. After analyzing about 50 hours of recordings from Chihuahuas, Shiba Inus, and Huskies, the AI detected syllables that could represent words like cat and leash. The team hopes the work could eventually help decode canine communication. Wouldn't you like to know what your dog is saying? Leave a comment in this comment section. I would love to know what my Pekingese is saying to me. He's probably saying, "Leave me alone," or "More snuggles, please." In robotics, California-based Figure AI just unveiled a 5'6" humanoid robot designed for home use. It can load dishwashers, clear tables, and manage basic laundry, though it still needs help with more complex tasks. The company says it's the next step toward affordable general-purpose home robots. Once again, how do you feel about that too? That kind of freaks me out. And in genetics, scientists in China discovered that naked mole rats, known for their long lifespan, and cancer resistance, have evolved a unique version of the CGAS protein that actually repairs damaged DNA. Researchers hope this discovery could lead to new anti-aging therapies for humans down the road. Let's wrap things up on a Friday with a few headlines that we thought you should know about today. In entertainment, Amazon MGM Studios announced it will release a new documentary titled Melania, focusing on First Lady Melania Trump. The film, directed by Brett Ratner, will hit theaters January 30th, 2026. Meanwhile, Amazon also pulled a set of censored James Bond posters from Prime Video UK after fans noticed the guns had been airbrushed out of the artwork. The edit sparked backlash online, with viewers calling the changes unnecessary and ridiculous. Rock legend Gene Simmons is recovering at home after fainting while driving and crashing his Lincoln Navigator into a parked car Tuesday afternoon on Pacific Coast Highway in Malibu, authorities said. Beer lovers, you might want to take some notes. A 2025 roundup of the highest rated beers in every single U.S. state shows Americans still prefer their strong brews. IPAs led in 21 states, stouts in 20, and more than half of the top beers were imperial strength. Let's do something fun. We have 9 state email editions, so I'm going to give you the top beers from each of our flyover state editions, starting with Florida. The number 1 ranked beer was Hunapu's Imperial Stout from Cigar City Brewing. Virginia was Double Orange Starfish from Aceland Beer Company. And I hope I'm pronouncing any of these correctly. I apologize if I got them wrong. North Carolina is Citriquential from Heist Brewery. Georgia was Tropicalia from Creature Comforts. Colorado was Media Noche Coconut from WeldWorks Brewing Company. Ohio was Bourbon Barrel Oro Negro from Jackie O's Brew Pub. Texas was Atrial Rubicite from Jester King Brewery. Tennessee, Astronaut Status from Wiseacre Brewing, Broad Ave OG, and Arizona, White Russian Imperial Stout from Sun Up Brewing Company. Wow, all of those were tongue twisters and very interesting. They sound very delicious, but the rest of the states can be found in the show notes below. And in lighter news, Bastion, a 7-year-old pup rescued from floodwaters during Hurricane Florence in 2018, was just named People Magazine's World's Cutest Rescue Dog. And finally, in South Carolina, a loose monkey in Utahville was safely captured after the town clerk lured it in with a hot cup of coffee. She and the mayor's family tracked it through town until it approached the drink, giving her the chance to step on its leash and bring the little escape artist into safety. Coffee always does the trick, doesn't it? Here's the results of yesterday's poll question about Dolly Parton. Which Dolly Parton movie is your favorite? 25% said 9 to 5. 23% said Steel Magnolias. 17% said Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. 13% said Rhinestone. 11% said Straight Talk. And another 11% said Other. Thanks to everyone who voted. You guys are the best. Here's today's poll question. What is your strategy for remembering passwords? Do you write them in your phone? Do you always use the same one? Do you let the computer remember? Maybe you use a password manager. Or you ask your kid. Or lastly, maybe it's Other. Well, I'm going to be a terrible person and admit that I try and use the same password for everything, and then I just do my absolute best to remember it until it prompts me to reset my password. It is a terrible system, and I do not suggest being anything like me. Vote in the show notes, and Amy Hess will read the answers in tomorrow's show. In trivia, which first lady was the first to decorate the White House for Halloween? That goes to Mammy Eisenhower. She became the first to decorate the White House in 1958. She hosted a lunch for the wives of staff members in the state dining room of the White House. Decorations, if you're wondering, included skeletons hanging from the wall lights, jack-o'-lanterns, shocks of dried corn in the corners of the room, and state dining room columns that were decorated at their bases with brown corn stalks, pumpkins, and red apples. Wow, she really started a trend, didn't she? That's all for today's flyover. Happy Friday. I hope you all have an amazing weekend. Amy Hess will be with you here tomorrow and Sunday, and I'll meet you right back Monday morning, bright and early. There may be some of you who have Monday off from work, but I'll be here giving you the headlines. Until then, thanks for flying with us.